Hey.
Hello.
Hi. This is like a slightly more impromptu PATHCO session. It's me, it's Hag, it's Ag, who's also here. Ag continues to exist.
Hello.
Hello. We're doing well.
I was worried for a second there, but I'm glad you've...
It's important to validate your friend's existence, I think.
It's important to validate your friend. Always validate your friend's existence.
That's kind of what you do for me as an artist sometimes, so I do appreciate it. Right. So,
Okay.
Huh? Oh, session 67, the infamous 67. I mean, God forbid we never hit session 69. I mean, there would have been so many goofs. We probably did make goofs in session 69. That was just also in 2017.
I think if you're estimating that we were counting that, you're vastly overestimating our abilities about maths.
Yeah, good. So we're going to play Ocean Tides today, which is a hack of, what?
What? Oh, do you want to dial back a second? Because this isn't necessarily part of the main...
How dare you?
Me? Sorry, what?
No, I'm kidding. Please, it's GM-less, so I'm not allowed to tell you off for interrupting me.
That's right. So, yeah, I was just going to say before we get into that, this is not going to be a standard PATHCO session. What we're kind of doing, whilst we're getting everyone through their periods where they can't play, is we're doing a little something called the Road to World Tour.
It's something like that. It's the sort of build up to as we so often do, stealing from friends at the table.
Yes,
almost wholesale.
Yes. And this is going to be a game that's maybe a bit more backstory than literal plot. So sorry, go on.
Yeah. So in this case, we're going to be doing Ocean Tides, a game of entanglements at sea, by Harpy Dora. It's essentially it's a hack of Mobile Frame Zero Firebrands, which continues to be a hella dope game. So
who is that by?
That's a good question. I have no idea.
Okay, I will look that up.
Do not have a single idea. It'll be on the thanks page at the very end, I'm sure.
Okay.
But in it, we assume roles of either a mermaid, pirate, or a naval officer, and we try to create messy entanglements with our fellow players. Fight with your friends, ally with your rivals, and fall in love with your enemies. So, good.
Quality game. Indeed. Firebrands Mobile Frame Zero by D. Vincent Baker and Megway Baker. So
I could have called that.
Attributions are important.
Yeah, valid. Right, okay, so first and foremost, we should start by creating our ocean, which I like. We got to build it is very literal world building here. So on the fourth page of the rulebook, there's some sort of notes with regards to the sea here. I mean, you can if you'd like. Whatever boats you float, man. On account of being on a boat, yes, of course. I've done it. I'm just totally unconscious at pretty much all times, so doing well. So we pick two sort of adjectives for our sea, and I'm gonna sort of write them in the Roll20 chat or something like that, so that I recall them. So Oh, that's a good idea. See, this is why you're the smart one. Right, so Ocean. I'll put it in lime green so that we can all read it. No, I unintentionally actually did that. Dear. It's still in lime green. Can someone else do this? I can't work out how to not make it lime green. On the plus side, we can use the word ocean and lime green as tokens. What? I used to draw on the map all the time in PATHCO. It might be because I still have GM pumps. Alright. I'm working it out. I worked it out. Alright, so, working it out. Oh dear. No, okay, that's fine. What?
Yeah, I was just doing an audio check as well, and I couldn't hear Haggis at all either. Can you hear me, Hellhounds? I could a little bit, but I was a little bit quiet.
Hey, Hell. So who can not be heard? Turn yourself up. Shout. I can still hear you. In like OBS.
Yeah,
Right.
your mic's. Select the mic in OBS. It might
Yeah.
not be the same as selected in.
All right. So yeah, I think. So I have like a mic.
Recording something, but it's really low.
So turn it up. Make it less low.
I don't know. Oh, there we go. Now I should be coming through loud and clear.
Is that? Are we good, Hal? So far, so good. Extremely.
Well, let's wait for
Professional.
to catch up.
That's why.
Well, you know, I've not.
Other stuff and do it in post now.
I mean, valid.
I've not run the stream in a long time, so.
Also valid. I've been doing art streams recently, so you know. I'm sure the audio quality on that totally varies, but oh well. So anyway, the C is pick 2, and we've got a list of 10 adjectives here, from tumultuous, stormy, ancient, gentle, and uncharted as well, along with some others. Does anyone have any strong feelings on these?
That was a really bad time for you to cut out, I think.
What?
Any strong
I just
feelings?
said. Yeah, I just said. Does anyone have any strong feelings on these? Sorry, is your internet feeling dodgy?
No, you just cut out. Does anyone have any? And then you just. Cut out.
Yeah. Strong feelings.
Strong feelings.
Strong feelings on these.
I don't know. When are we? I potentially do. But when are we setting this? Because this is not necessarily set in the current era either. This is.
Yeah, I thought maybe a little bit beforehand. I'm not actually hugely phased about tying this into World Tour or not. I'm kind of into the idea of world building just because, well, like I was going to include Fleet as a location, which is a pirate city in our world, but we haven't actually talked about it very much on screen. So.
Okay. Or are we saying this is actually set in current times? Or that also works as well.
I'm not ambivalent to the idea, but I thought maybe like 5 years ago or something like that. Something Gundam does is, for some reason, set just random bits of like OVAs and stuff in the 1 year war, despite the fact that animation was now made like 40 years ago. So, you know, I mean, we could do that.
So yeah, like 5 years ago.
5 years ago, unless, you know, I mean, we can always retcon it. Like if we're like, but wouldn't it be interesting?
Some numbers of years ago, but not like some number of years that is less than 100 years ago.
That was why I thought maybe like historical, and then you know we don't have to say a specific number until we come up with an interesting number.
Sure. So some years ago. Pre-PATHCO meeting.
Pre-PATHCO meeting, yeah, which was still only like a year ago in game time because time is an illusion, right? We've been playing this game for 5 years now, Haggers.
We've been playing this game longer than Critical Role has been streaming.
Has existed. No, probably about the same length, which is a little alarming.
No, Critical Role's 6 years old.
Oh, really? Oh.
It's just not been streaming for 6 years.
C adjectives. What do people like?
I quite like ancient.
You like ancient? Ancient's pretty good. And we have already talked about like there being crazy stuff like buried underneath. I know Egg's world building for the Tide Knights included like awful water spirits and stuff under there, so...
It is under Fleet.
I don't know about under Fleet specifically, but maybe.
Yeah.
What do you think, Haggers? Any strong feelings?
I mean, aside from ancient.
Yeah.
Well, we picked 2 of these, right? So.
Yeah.
Well,
I'd just say based on what we just mentioned about stuff being buried down there, deep.
Deep seems reasonable. Seems reasonable.
The sea is ancient and deep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fine. It's all good.
Yeah.
I think it probably fits the Midlands most if we go for frigid, doesn't it? Maybe like unpredictable as well. That could also be interesting in terms of the climate. I mean.
Yeah.
So unpredictable, and then I feel like we can sort of draw stuff like as we feel like it. I don't think very much land. I think the stuff that is there is kind of like lashed onto like bits of rock coming out of the sea and stuff.
Mhm.
You know, it's like those Vietnamese Bay kind of towns that are sort of built partly onto rafts and stuff like that. I
Kind
think
of
it's
reminds me of
Halong Bay.
the main location in Subnautica. Then a couple of small islands, but
Yeah.
just a lot of water.
Yep, seems reasonable. Islands are few and far between. Because, like, the map, which I now did literally 3 years ago, has Fleet labeled as just a big old bay, and I always kind of figured that was, there was kind of one big splint of land, and then the rest of it was quite, water-based. I don't know how that works when there's a storm or what have you, but I'm assuming it's sheltered. Okay, so next we're going to talk about sort of the individual factions, and I think we'll probably split off into who's playing those. So Ag, I think you were going to play the mermaids, weren't you? What were you thinking for those?
So yeah, I was thinking the mermaids here. I'm playing a little bit fast and loose with mermaids, and I'm going with high sea means fish, right? Because I'm going to play
Yes.
this. The mermaids in this particular game are going to be the Sahuagin, who have come up previously in kind of PATHCO in general as kind of we've obviously come across them as part of their society, being very mercenary, underwater mercenaries. They've been quite focused on, when we've encountered them, hiring themselves out to the highest bidder, and that being their interaction in the world. Internally, from reading a little bit about Path, well, I guess we'll we'll be deciding how closely we align with kind of Pathfinder Canaan as well. That's a kind of a similar kind of deal for their big underwater cities where they are kind of competing with the aquatic elves and stuff for resources and things.
What form do you take?
What form do I take?
Yeah, how would you describe a Sahuagin?
Well, I'm going to. Is this mermaid in general or the one that I'm going to be playing as part of this?
I think mermaids in general, just for the moment, or quote unquote mermaids.
Am I playing one character, or am I defining the?
So in that question, I think is what do mermaids in general look like, and then I think we talk about individual characters in the next.
Sure. So we're humanoid kind of fish people. We're like wearing like clothes and such, but yeah, kind of as they've come up, there's been a large variety in the type of fish they can be. We've seen some shark people who are technically mutants in the canon. We've seen four-armed versions. We've seen like deep sea minor fish versions. So basically, like a fish-like head on a humanoid body with scales.
I was going to make a joke about Breath of the Wild, but I'm not going to, and I hope you admire my, just my ability to hold back from that.
You haven't been able to hold back on your puns, so.
You made the first one.
You had the first
anyway.
one. I just recognised it.
Right. So, heck, did you want to go for the piracy question?
So.
What drove you to piracy? Pick one.
I was thinking about this. I'm seeing the pirates, or at least the pirates that I'm going to be looking at playing, as an early splinter of what eventually will lead to become part of Brother Glanvar's old crew. So I'm seeing them as outcasts from society, surviving the only way we can. And the only way they can happens to be by stealing and robbery.
Okay, that seems reasonable. So you're going for the first one there.
Yep.
Which outcasts from society are they? Are they outcasts from like Fleet itself or the Midlands? Did you have any ideas?
Why not both?
Oh, why not both? What is that from? Anyway.
That's from El Dorado.
That's it. Thank you. Both is good. Okay, so I forgot it was me next. Right, so naval officers. Whose navy do you serve in? Pick one. Again, kind of playing fast and loose here. There is an empty box for all of these, which I really appreciate. So I think I'm going to go for the Tide Knights. So quote-unquote naval officers. This is another one that has quote marks on it, I've decided. Whose navy do you serve in? So, yeah, I think it is essentially the Tide Knights, which is its sort of own established faction in our world. They're sea-based sort of defenders of the coast. Lots of big sort of clunky armor and storied tales of facing off against awful sea-bound tentacular things and scaled things and all sorts. What sets us apart from the pirates? There's also a question about what is your pirate code, Glanvar, Haggy. So we should circle back to you. What sets us apart from the pirates? I think, that's actually a good question. I think it's probably the moral compass and the sort of, we work out from the coast. I think the pirates probably work out from the sea, if you know what I mean. So the pirates are probably pushing inland, and we're probably pushing outland out into the sea to sort of defend the little coastal settlements and things. So, just in terms of overall policy. But yeah, what's your pirate code? What would you never do? Who would you never steal from?
Who would I never steal from? Anyone who's got better weapons.
It's the most mercenary level of piracy. Or realist.
Well, I'm thinking as seafaring brigands at the end of the day. Although they're not looking for notoriety and fortune, they're just looking to survive. That's the reason why I didn't go for the second one. Pirate code. I think that's actually a pretty good code, really. Don't
fight downwards.
Yeah, so I was just reading Hellhound's comment in chat. One is doing it for survival, the other is doing it for greed and no other reason. No, they're doing it for survival.
Maybe it's one's doing it for survival and one's doing it for the survival of other people. Is that interesting? Like community, like altruism.
They're doing it as a group to survive.
Yeah, fair enough. Magic exists in this world by necessity. Without it, mermaids, quote-unquote, would not be able to go on land for short periods of time, nor would they be able to bring their human lovers underwater. However, you should decide what other types of magic exist in the world, if any. Who else has magic? Do pirates? Does the
this is Pathfinder kind of world, so it's similar to
everyone has magic.
Everyone has some level of magic. People use +1 skills to
every faction has the ability to.
Yeah. As a unit, I think folks have magic. I mean, I think it varies. I'm sure smaller factions don't, but for the most part, I think we do. Right. Okay. So now we describe our characters, which I'll also probably put on the board because it's a handy thing to keep in mind, I suppose. So, Ag, do you want to go first?
Sure. I am going to be playing a Sahagwin, who I think is. I think physically they look. We've just talked about how the Sahagwin look like different fish. I think this person looks a lot like a coelacanth. So they've got a very powerful looking jaw. They look like it's an old fish, and
they're the basis for the Pokemon Relicanth, aren't they?
Possibly. And so yeah, it just looks like they're very armored underneath their skin. So kind of like steely-eyed and kind of ancient looking, with kind of old style looking clothes. Almost like very, not even old in the sense of like gothic, but like very like simple leathers and fur, or not even furs, like the equivalent of furs underwater. So like shark skin and things like that.
I'm sure there probably are kind of furry textures underwater, although I'm struggling to think what. Like corally style stuff?
Yeah. And they are, I think they're the leader of a larger group of Sahagwin within this group, but they're not necessarily where they are now. He him as well. So he is separated either through choice or through accident, and is in fleet away from the rest of his particular group. And I think his name is Baron Fisher.
Is that Fisher spelt Fisher?
No, it is Fissure.
Ssure. Oh, that's really good. That is Star Wars Darth name right there. Jesus.
I know. There you go.
So I think you pick 3 qualities from your faction as well, which are on the characters page on page 6.
Okay. Looking at that now. So I think that Baron Fisher is, I think, cunning, ponderous. I think there's someone that, I don't know if that's the right word, but they think about what they're doing, and then when they make a decision, they'll stick with it.
Like deliberative?
Deliberate, I think, is the good one.
Deliberate's a really good one.
Yeah. Deliberate, cunning, and do I have to pick 3 here, or?
Yeah, I think so. But
okay.
you can make up your own, as you did with deliberate, I suppose.
Yeah. So deliberate, cunning, and you know what? Desperate. I'm going to go for desperate.
Oh, that's always a good one.
Yeah.
That's probably fine.
And we have a population of our village, right? So is this the friends of family? So is this the mermaid village? Or?
Yeah, it says your village, but it can be unrelated people that you interact with regularly. So it doesn't actually have to be other mermaids, I don't think.
So, well, I think there is a small group of other Sahagwyn of whom I think Baron Sepsis, we've established that Baron is like quite a high title within Sahagwyn things. But I think what's happened here is that Baron Sepsis, Baron Fisher, has left with a group of a reconnaissance unit for whatever reason, and is in fleet for some reason. Once again, perhaps they got separated from the main group. Perhaps they're here just doing recon that Fisher needs to get specifically himself. But I think there's a small group of between 5 or 7 other Sahagwyn who look like more standard Sahagwyn. They don't look like a Silla kind of like he does, who are kind of in a small encampment under the sea. That's some loud typing.
Sorry.
I thought my typing was loud.
I put my keyboard next to my mouse, next to my mic. My bad. Sorry, I just got
a really loud keyboard.
I've actually noticed that my graphics tablet is right next to my mic as well, and that's quite obvious. Like, you can hear me scratching away like I'm a medieval monk. It's kind of a good vibe. Kind of into it. Anyway, so it's you next, Heck. Yeah, I did this on big text. I apologize.
I know I'm just having to constantly adjust the screen so I can see everything still stays on it.
Sorry.
I am my primary character for this is going to be a young half-elf cutpurse chased out to sea who goes by the name of Petros.
Okay.
So this is going to be, for anyone who remembers that far back, that particular campaign, Petros is one of Brother Glanvar's former associates from his days.
Boss, right?
Pardon?
When we've met him, he was the ex-leader or the current leader of Glanvar's ex-gang. He was above.
I don't think he was the leader, but he was kind of I think
he was just causing trouble on his own. I can't remember.
Fair enough. Yeah,
he's just kind of a dick. He was kind of a dick.
Sure.
He's him, correct?
Yeah. He is a charming, somewhat sly, and ever so more so mercurial character who can go from one range of emotions to the other. Again, as we have noticed, he goes from happy to see Glanvar to suddenly trying to poison everything.
I'm pretty sure I did that on your direction. And
Yes.
I'm at peace with it. Anyway.
The rest of his band, the rest of his crew, he's not the one in charge of his crew. He's just a young sailor in the pirates on the sailing aboard the ship he's aboard. They're a bunch of rogues held together mostly by the need for survival. They're not wanted ashore. They're not wanted in the fleet.
Fair enough. Yeah, cool. I think it's like, I don't think they're the people that you'll have to play so much as they're like, they can be used for set dressing and stuff. So, there we are.
Oh lord, this thing's starting to look a bit all over the shop.
It's fine.
It's making my eye twitch.
Why? Look, this looks great. I don't know what your problem is. It's fine. I'll change to another color for me doing mine.
Speaking of,
right. So, I'm gonna be playing. I did have a good name for this. I think her name is Maya Babel. She, her. She is a halfling. She's a halfling sort of lieutenant in the Tide Knights. No. Why did I go for lieutenant? I don't know how to spell the word lieutenant. I've kind of guessed at it. I think it might be right.
I mean, technically, if you're going by English pronunciations, it's lieutenant, but yes.
Jeez, that's even worse. Right. So I think she is honourable. Possibly the only one so amongst this cast. We'll see. She is humble. And I think I was going to go for like Cavalier, but I feel like that might be too Maya-ish. So I'm going to go for like handsome. She's quite sort of, she's kind of like a lot of the Tide Knights. She's got a lot of scarring up her arms and a little bit across her face, where I think, she was bitten by something. I think she's probably got half of an ear on one side.
Maybe she was bitten by Baron Fisher.
Maybe. Dark skin, kind of long hair pulled back into like a high ponytail. I don't actually know what Tide Knight dress uniform looks like, but I'm assuming it's quite sort of naval looking. She does have some subordinates. They were assigned to her, and she is quite young. I think she's like early 30s, so or halfling early 30s in halfling. There we go. Good. So I think. Her subordinates don't necessarily, well, they definitely don't look up to her. But I think she's still trying to prove herself to them a little bit. So, yeah. Maya Babel. It's like a fishing term. Fantastic.
I feel like I should have come up with a different character rather than Petros.
Why?
Because he's the only one that's not got a fishing-related pun into his name.
Oh.
Well, I mean, you could always give him a surname.
That is true.
Yeah, I'll try and think of one throughout the session.
Fish. No. Right. So next we all play a round of monologue, and then we are. So we can actually then use this to inform the rest of the game, which I quite like. Like we can use it as a little bit of a prologue. But so we're kind of going to go around the table. Ag, again, are you okay to start?
I think so, yeah. You are cutting out a lot for me, but I think it might be my head slightly concerning.
I think it's on your side because Hag can hear me consistently, right?
Yeah, that's somewhat worrisome, but I'll see if I can do that in the background. But I'm assuming what you said is we're going to do...
Okay, so I went as far as we're going to do. Okay. That was what I heard.
Okay, so we're going to do a monologue.
Yes, so we're going to do a round of monologues, and then I asked if you were down to get rolling.
I am, and do I pick? Yes. So I've had a brief look at some of these games. I've had a look at the first few, so I'll be surprised if the late ones come up. So I'll do the monologue. So do you want to go through how monologue works?
Sure, I can do real quick if you'd like. Sorry, I was answering a text. I do apologize. Okay. So you play by yourself using a list for your faction. So mermaids, naval officers, and pirates get a copy each, different list. Choose what you've been doing and what's happened. You can choose freely or make up your own occurrence. And these essentially can be used to inform your actions and to paint in the world a little bit better.
Sure. And do I pick one of these or?
Yeah, so I think it would be that you pick one of the beginning prompts and then one of the latter prompts, and we can sort of, you can use that to narrate a cutscene, or that can literally be it. It's entirely your call.
Okay, so yeah, I had an idea for this as well, and I think I think I might know why Baron Fisher and was here and why it's him specifically that's come and left, presumably far away in their base, the rest of his troops and his band. I think he has, and also just to be clear, that there is the reason I went with coelacanth is there's a type of mutation in Pathfinder that Sahagwyn can get where they're prehistoric. Coelacanths, of course, being a very very old fish, and we'll come on to that in a second. So this is specific thing. And I think Baron Sepsis discovered a network. Baron Fisher discovered a network of caves underwater, and found a wealth of new plants and animals there. And one of the abilities that prehistoric Sahagwyn have is the ability, alongside being able to talk to sharks, is that they can also talk to aquatic dinosaurs.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So I think that's why they're here. And I think we get a scene of Baron Fisher swing through a small... and there's a group of people with him, like some are rookies, some are veterans that he's worked with a long time. There's definitely a feckless rookie Sahagwyn in this kind of Dirty Dozen type team they've got. And Fisher is just pushing through, and then looking up in this vast underwater cavern and just seeing like a plesiosaur just going around, and it's just like, okay,
Oh boy,
that's what they're there for.
We're gonna have to fight that at some point in A Team. I know it. It'll probably be a really specific B Team episode. Jesus Christ. Is that your monologue then?
That's my monologue, yeah.
Cool. Heg, I think it's yours next. What's Petros been up to?
So Petros, he was trying to find safe harbor in a local port. Whilst he was there, through no fault of his own, because he's a completely upstanding citizen, I assure you.
That's a lie.
However, whilst he was there, he was very nearly turned into the local authorities. It was only his charm and sly nature that somehow enabled him to evade them.
Was he actually, did he do anything? Or
Well,
did
there's a reason why
just...
he's out at sea in the first place. He was chased out there because he'd done naughty things on land.
Oh, okay. So, and in this, specific scenario, he'd also done naughty things on land? Or is this just, his bounty?
This is just things catching up with him.
Past sins. Past Sims. It's all those Sims that you locked in, a room with a fireplace and a whole bunch of wooden crates.
We must all remember, he's not a nice person.
A pirate? No, God forbid.
He's no Jack Sparrow. So I guess the cutscene you see for that would be him hiding behind a corner as the guards run past, smirking to himself.
I think Maya's scene is I ran afoul of some local ocean life, and the creatures proved to be crafty and shrewd. And I think essentially it's Maya's probably in command of a small patrol vessel. So not like a little. I think even frigates are bigger than what I expect, but you know what I mean, maybe a 20-person vessel max.
I think it's called a sloop.
Yeah, like a sloop. That's a good name. I think that what actually happens is almost Loch Ness Monster style. Is that the ship is just all of a sudden thrown over to the left, and she staggers across to the other side of the deck just in time to see the tail of the. Was it a plesiosaur that you said earlier, Rick?
Yeah.
I think it's the tail of the plesiosaur from earlier, just sort of surfacing back beneath the waves. Lord, I'm getting a call coming in. I'm just gonna skip that. I'll call it in a little bit later on.
You saw the plesiosaur.
I did. I saw the plesiosaur. Well, I think it's more that the plesiosaur didn't see me. So yeah, and next I think we essentially go around the table playing games. Yeah, from there, play goes around the table as many times as you'd like, starting with one player chosen at random. On your turn, choose a minigame, and another player is your partner. Follow the instructions for that game. And there are multiple partners allowed in certain games. I don't think any of them are one-on-one, except for, I suppose, monologue. So, should we roll like a 1d3, and whoever goes first goes first?
What number are we assigning everyone?
Me as 1, you as 2, Ag as 3.
Sounds good.
Ah, well, there you go.
Oh, Rig.
How would I do that? How physically could I do such a thing? Right.
Oh yes, I will point out there
What?
in chat.
Your audio just dropped.
Saw that. It was about the coelacanth thing, and yes, I saw that.
Okay.
Yes, I saw it.
Oh, cool.
I didn't do anything about it, but I saw it.
Okay, cool.
Crucially,
you just doing it to wind up hellhounds.
I mean, I was just doing it because I couldn't be bothered to Google how to spell coelacanth, and I knew that the Pokemon was spelled kind of similar. So I just kind of hacked something together.
It's cool. We are moving forward.
Yeah, it's all good. Sorry, I'm busy trying to work out. For Lord's sake, I'm getting a call in again. Right, hang on. I'm just going to have to take this real quick. Can you give me 5 minutes?
Sure. We should probably talk around.
Does someone else want to do their scene first? Could that be good?
Sure.
What game are we doing? Sorry.
So what game are we playing first?
So you choose essentially.
All right. Okay.
Sorry, it's now stopped. So I'm just gonna ignore it, and then if it rings again, then I'll grab it. Right. Anyway, sorry about that. So I'm thinking potentially it's a chase. Ag, how would you feel about potentially Maya's ship is chasing down the Sahagwin because she's noted them in a similar kind of area?
That seems sensible. How is this happening? Is this in a is this on foot chase? Is it on sea chase? Or
I thought maybe on sea or in sea. Okay. So you can do chases either on foot, quote unquote, or you can do them in ships as well, which I kind of like. That's an interesting concept. But yeah, in this case, so the quarry would lead the chase, and you choose a series of 4 challenges and admissions. Choose freely, but one choice must be an admission. And that's in page 19 of the rulebook, just for the record.
19, okay.
Yep.
So I think you're chasing. Discovered this underwater area that we were presumably looking for. It's got these creatures we were looking for.
I'm almost wondering if maybe she sees something kind of that could be what just rocked her ship and sort of dives down after it.
Oh, is this like an underwater swimming chase?
I thought maybe. I mean, the Tide Knights do kind of have stuff that lets them roam around underwater a little bit longer.
Sorry, say that last part again?
I know that the Tide Knights do have stuff that lets them roam around underwater a little bit longer, like old-timey diving suit tech, so...
Well, that's not really a chase, though. So if you want to have this as like a...
What were you thinking?
So you're on your sloop, and I think we've come... the question is, like, why are we on top of the water and underneath it? I think it's because we've got some artifacts, so we've got that we picked up that might be useful, and I think we've loaded these onto. This didn't come up in PATHCO when we were doing the Sahagwin before, but they have chariots that are pulled by sharks.
Good, seems fine.
Yeah, so I think it's like there's one big chariot and maybe like 1 or 2 small ones, or maybe all on this one. Who knows? Yeah, well, there's 2, like a big one and a small scouting one.
Okay, so are we doing the ship ones then?
Yeah. So you're going to be chasing this kind of small group of skirmishing shark chariots in your sleep.
Okay. So, yes. Determine which of you is the quarry and which is the hunter. We know that, I think.
Yeah.
What do you notice about each other?
Okay. Well, I think what we know, we've probably not had a huge amount of dealings with stuff on the land, so we're noticing the tide knight. I think what we notice is that you are obviously land dwellers, but we notice that
Sorry, it's vice versa. So you tell me what I notice about you, and vice versa.
Oh, okay. So what you notice about us that we are putting this big chest of stuff onto the back of our.
Okay, fair enough. I think what you notice about the Tide Knights and Maya in particular is that there's still a little bit of a delay there between her commanding something and it actually getting done. I think Maya calls out for something, and it's kind of a source of great frustration with her that you can see that they definitely look to like the ship's first mate first. So she'll call out something like hard port, and they'll sort of look to the first mate briefly first, who'll sort of echo the command or not. What have you heard? So in that case, I suppose that would be something. What have you? I don't know about that one actually.
Okay. We can play fast and loose. I think what I've heard, the Tide Knights, is that there are land dwellers who are remarkably at home in the sea, and you appear to be wearing the uniforms that are associated with that.
I don't think Maya is fully in like the Tide Knight's armor right now. I think she's in more of like a uniform-looking thing still.
Yeah, but there's going to be some people. I think they're picking up that.
Yeah, there's definitely like fully armored Tide Knights sort of here and there on the decks, like the people manning the harpoons and things. And I think what I've probably heard about the Sahagwin is just like more and more sightings of them over the last sort of 2 or 3 months. Yeah, I think basically how I came to be chasing this quarry
almost
is,
like someone was stirring them up, trying to give them money to.
Yeah, I mean, funny that. I think, the reason that I came to be chasing this quarry is because, this plesiosaur almost flipped us, and I think, something vaguely fishy that could conceivably have been, the source of this.
I think the plesiosaur's gone back down into the underworld.
Yeah,
I think these darned aquatic dinosaurs are in like a kind of ancient world hidden thing, but
like those underwater lakes and stuff, or underground lakes.
Yeah, but obviously it's just been opened up, so hey, maybe they're coming out to say hello a little bit more than they were.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Sure. So where is this chase taking place?
I think that it's taking place in mostly open water, and we are currently trying to escape small island where
so like beneath the small island, or is it like land based?
Well, the island is where it is. We have like an nearby there, but that's where our main camp is. But we're going above the water because that's where our chariots are, because we've got all this stuff we're trying to.
Fair enough. Okay. Next you choose a series of 4 challenges and admissions. One choice must be an admission. We each gain coins with regards to the distance, or I think you gain coins exclusively. I put 4 down to begin with. You can see my little stones here. I thought that was kind of fun. Have some physical tokens. We're doing the ship challenges, aren't we?
Yes.
Okay. Well, do you want to go for the first challenge then, or the first admission?
I'm going to go for the first. And we're both gaining coins, right?
Good question. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I think so.
Sure. And one of them has to be an admission.
One of them has to be an admission. There are 4 challenges.
Okay. Ship admissions. There are separate ones. Okay.
Yes.
Sure, I'm going to go with. There's one.
Another boat pun. God damn it.
I think I lead you through rocky waters. Follow me if you dare.
Okay. Yes, I'll follow naturally. So, one is heads, two is tails. Two. So you lead me through rocky waters, and I dare to follow you. But I nearly found her on the rocks, so you gain a coin.
Okay. I have one coin.
You do. Hang on. Let me do like a little box. There we go.
A very little box. Okay, there you go.
There you go. I worked on it. I was workshopping the size of the box.
Okay.
I can't work out how to get rid of the small one.
Okay.
So left is you, right is me. Okay.
Sure.
So next challenger admission.
I pick all of these, do I?
Yes.
This
you
is
pick the
okay.
champions. Yes.
Okay. I sail through a patch of murky water. Follow me if you dare, but throw.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw. I'm still, I think, we sort of scraped like a rock or like a sandbar or something, but I'm still forcing the ship onwards. To my own sort of failure, really. So where is this? On tails, the water hides a danger you can't avoid in its depths. You gain a coin again. So I think it's Maya sort of more and more annoyed, sort of stalking the deck, sort of egging them on. And because of that, I don't think the helmsman notices. I don't think it's actually a sandbar. I think it's maybe like the bar of a previously wrecked ship. And it just sort of grazes the side, and we're all sort of thrown sideways slightly. Especially me, because I'm still a halfling. Like I'm kind of a buff halfling. I think she's got a pretty good strength score, but not so much. So her hair is like thrown kind of out of its ponytail a little bit. I think like she gets some like hanging over her face, but she sort of continues to yell to lead us onwards. So yeah. Next challenge or admission, I think.
Hello.
Hey, sorry.
Yep.
Can you not hear us?
Yeah, no, I can hear now. This is my headphones on my end.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
Yeah, it's just cutting out for like 5 seconds at a time. So what I'm going to go with next is I think I have to go for a great sea beast attacks.
Oh Jesus, what?
Like that's the.
Oh God.
I have to pick one admission, right? And admission a great sea beast attacks. I kind of have to pick it given the narrative direction that we're in at the moment.
Do you want to? Sorry, after you.
So I think this plesiosaur just kind of raises up, attempts to. Well, we'll see what happens actually. The throw on heads, it focuses attention on my ship, letting you catch up to me. So,
do you want to throw in this case? Because I think it's your ship at stake. So
Okay. So tails. So one is heads, two is tails, right?
Yeah.
So tails. On heads, it focuses. Oh, so tails. So no, it does. So that's good. Tails is good for me.
Yes. I do not gain 2 coins. So yeah. What's the visual there?
The visual is this long-necked creature just chomping one of these fully armored tide knights off the back of your sloop.
Shit! Just a man dies. The visual is a dude eats shit. Fuck. Woof. I was about to ask if it was deliberate or not, but the answer is yes.
Yes.
Woof. Right, I was definitely thinking a little bit more. You know the dinosaur in Mario 64?
No,
I'm no longer thinking of that.
No.
Fuck. One more challenge, I think.
Okay, one more challenge.
Or admission.
No, I think we have heard a game where someone did decide to do more than one admission. It's like, no, it was narratively interesting.
Play to find out what happens.
So, I think that whilst this is happening, I think I know I'm deliberate and I'm desperate as well. So I think I draw you through a razor sharp coral reef. Follow me if you dare.
I think it's most interesting if Maya is trying to coax people onwards, like still sort of yelling for them to lead on. And the first mate is busy gazing back at the splintered sort of rigging and deck furniture where a tide knight used to be, and the chase draws to a halt. And it's Maya.
Well, you throw first. Or are you?
I'm not daring.
Okay.
I think basically her sort of limited string of commands sort of
do you have
goes out for a second.
Throw, or I thought you had to.
I mean, it says if you dare, so I'm gonna.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah. Okay.
So I think it's basically like Maya sort of thumping her fist down on the on like the deck or the counter or something. You know what she's leaning against. And they sort of pull up sort of sideways and sort of watch you leave. So yeah. So at the end of the chase, if the quarry has more coins than the hunter, which they do, they are able to escape. I think you skedaddled. So there are lists for the quarry and the if we have as many or more coins than you, but we don't. Whoops.
Yeah. Sorry. What happens at the end? Do I just?
So after the game ends, tally up your coins. If you have more coins, you escape. So you do escape there.
Absolutely, and you can hear that they're laughing at you.
Yeah.
Like, ha.
It's not even like an evil laugh. It's just like, fuck.
It's just like, we think you forgot the L plates on your.
Rude.
It's very rude.
Hmm.
I think they do a loser on the head.
Oh Jesus!
You see, all I know is you said the L plates on the, and then your voice cut out, and I'm just thinking that could have been the perfect time for anything.
Yeah, and they do an L on their forehead for loser at you. There you go.
Jesus! How do they know that?
Well, because they've seen that they would say he's established as a mercenary leader. Like he'll pick up what's going on here. I would think from what you've narrated already.
That makes sense.
Yeah, cool. That was fun.
Good. So yeah, I went first. So I guess it's you next, Haggis. Did you have an idea as to a game that you want to play?
I have been reading through most of them, trying to find one that would fit, and I think the one I settled on was a duel between Maya and Petros.
Oh, that's interesting. Let me find duel real quick.
Page 14.
Right, okay, found it. Okay, cool. So do you want to lead here?
I kind of wanted to ask a question before we started this about, and it's a question of what armor weapons are you as a Tide Knight using? Because
that's a good question. I think Maya uses a sword. Actually, she has a sword and she has a spear, like a harpoon, because she's a Tide Knight. She's more comfortable with the sword, but she has the harpoon because she's usually fighting something that's bigger than her.
Well, Petros certainly probably isn't. Well, Petros will be bigger than her, but for a different reason. So what do you notice? So what do I notice about Maya?
I think she's in a really bad mood. I don't think this is a huge length of time after the chase, and I think she's still kind of torn up about that a little bit, because essentially what happened is she went a little bit too far and her crew lost faith in her. So I think that's kind of a point of contention for her. So she's in a bad mood about that, certainly. What does Maya notice about Petros?
He's definitely suddenly surprised that his luck has gone from what he could see, what he thought was going well, to rounding the corner into the one thing that he, in his opinion, is worse than the local constabulary.
the Tide Knights, just as a whole, they're just worse again.
Well,
Yeah,
the Tide
fair.
Knights are the police force of the sea, as far as he's concerned.
Yeah, I mean they're more like boat defense force, I guess. But yes, they're like the really angry Coast Guard. They're like the most angry possible Coast Guard. So, what do we heard about each other?
Well, you see, this maybe I could go for the really cheap response on that, but I'm not going to because that's just lazy on my part. What have I heard about Maya? I've heard that he's heard that Maya's a dab hand with that sword, and he should probably be very wary around her.
And yet they are dueling.
Well, you know, you back someone into a corner. What else is he going to do?
Oh, fair enough. So she sort of initiated this, I suppose.
Well, that we'll come on to that one because that's where
Yeah.
we are.
Well, that's why I was asking. Yeah. So yeah, continue.
As to where we are at port. This is Maya is returned to port to lick her wounds after the very unfortunate chase that she just lost. When she rounds the corner, and lo and behold, there is Petros just unwinding. They lock eyes, and this a simple thing from Petros of, "Oh shit."
Is it like that she outright catches him in some kind of
No, well,
criminal
he's a wanted.
activity, or is it?
He's a reasonably wanted man, in the day. So
Fair enough.
I'm sure there's a poster knocking around.
What if there's one just behind him?
No, better yet, he grabs a newspaper, puts it up in front of his face, and this is a picture, and there's a mugshot right where his face was.
Fantastic.
That's probably ripped off from some Disney film somewhere.
Probably. So I think it's insulted honor, but in terms of Maya had her honor insulted recently, and I don't think, I think she's taking it out on him.
I mean, possibly.
So for the actual game, so where are we actually fighting then? Is this sort of by the docks? Is this further into Fleet itself? I'm assuming this is in
by the docks
city of
just
Fleet.
by the docks just outside one of the port taverns. Which would be where Petros would have been relaxing.
Taking in the airs on the Fleet Riviera. So we take turns asking. Yeah, it's a good look. Take turns asking leading questions, and the better with the blade goes first. Who do we think's the better of the blade?
Well, I would probably argue the Tide Knight would be, because as I said, Petros is still a very young cut purse. He's not the rapier wielding extraordinaire that we later come to meet him as Glanvar.
Oh, fair enough. So this is actually a solid chunk of time. All right.
Well, he's a very young cut purse, as I said. He's a.
Yeah, fair enough. Young is weird for half elves. I don't know. It's a good question. What do I go for to begin with? I think let's start off with we circle each other like predators, our weapons drawn. So Maya has like a horizontal sort of scabbard. Obviously, it doesn't go down to her legs because, well, there's not actually that much space there. And she draws this kind of, it's like got a cutlass handle, but it's still like quite a straight sword. Yeah, what do you say to me?
I've been hearing this isn't your day. Here's hoping that this continues to remain as such. Knight.
Charming. Just good. Quality characterization. I think it's your question next.
I think in response to that, you probably may swing at me. Your blade grazes me across my ribs. Does the sight of my blood excite or sicken you?
I think almost sicken, because like she was in a chase for what she perceived to be justice. She thought her ship had been assaulted or something like that, and she's almost quite acutely aware that she's actually just sort of came out looking to take it out on someone. So I think her stomach lurches slightly at that. I feign dropping my guard for just a moment. Do I draw you out, or are you too wily to fall for the ruse?
What do I say? He's sly. No, he's gonna go. He's going to go with a thrust from his rapier.
Okay, so he's not he doesn't fall for that ruse.
No, he does. He falls for it. You drops the
Oh,
blade
right,
and
I see.
He goes in for an attack.
Oh, cool.
Which
So next it's your leading question.
yeah, which leads on quite nicely. I execute a blow with a flourish. Does the showmanship distract you, or are you unmoved?
Unmoved. I think one of her adjectives is humble. I don't think that she cares a huge amount for the showmanship, for the staged sort of nature of how Petros is fighting a little bit. So I think she's able to. I think she is quite literally unmoved in that she brings her sword up crosswise to deflect a little bit. My blade nearly finds its mark. Does the close call exhilarate or chill you?
Oh, he's mercurial. He's gonna grin maniacally.
That's comforting. Good. Fine. Love it.
As a result, he starts swinging his blade with wild abandon. How do you avoid his blows?
Oh, that's a good question. I think because she is a halfling, but because she's kind of strong, she ducks like over to the left, and there's a like a barrel lid table. You know what I mean? Like the lid of a barrel sort of hammered onto a spoke, and that's pretty much the table.
I know what you mean.
And I think she sort of tilts that down and uses it as kind of a crude shield for a moment, sending like glasses spilling everywhere as well. So there's like the smash of glass, and that's how she kind of dodges those blows.
I didn't want to be keeping count of the leading questions. I think that was my.
It does say after 3 leading questions, anyone may ask a finisher, so it's pretty much that we can go here as long as we'd like.
I know, but I just want to make sure that we. That was my third leading question, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, fair enough. You've penetrated my garden, drawn in close. What do you say to me? So I think it's she swings the table off, like in front of her. She's got her blade up defending herself, and it's smash, 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 and then the barrel lid gives way. So what does Petros say?
I thought you knights were supposed to be decent swordsmen. You've yet to really interest.
Love it. Next yours, I think.
We've locked blades. Neither of us are willing to give grounds. We're a deadlock unless you pull a dirty trick, do you?
No, I don't. I think she probably would have at the beginning of the fight, but midway through, her stomach lurched and she realized why she was fighting. So no, I don't think she takes that ground. Your blade grazes me over my wrist. Does the sight of my blood excite you or sicken you?
I think it just makes the grin even wider.
He's a creepy son of a bitch.
I'm basing a lot of his character on an elfin character from Mogworld.
Oh.
It's called
I
Mr.
don't
Wonder.
even know what Mogworld is. So
it's a book.
I do. Didn't Yahtzee write that?
Yep. And I'm basing him on Mr. Wonderful, just a little bit.
Okay.
Good. Seems fine.
Where was I?
Your leading question, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
So I just got you over the wrist. That was your leading. So
Yes. Graze me.
Yeah. I'm just sorry. I've lost my own train of thought.
You could go for the tip of my blade finds your arm, your thigh, or your
Yeah,
shoulder.
that's what I was thinking of. The tip of my blade. As a
Or you
result,
could outright go for a finisher. That could be interesting.
yeah, I couldn't lead into a finisher from that one easily.
I mean, you've pretty much broken her guard, I think. So
Yeah, okay, yeah. I get my blade through your defences. Yield now, or I will surely injure you.
I think she yields. I think she tosses her saber away. Yeah, there's sort of a moment of her glaring up at him, sort of on her back foot, sort of face to blade with him a little bit. You know what I mean?
As a result, Petros stands up, gives a very flamboyant bow and a giggle, and then legs it.
Just fucking bolts. And I think
See you
Maya
later, copper.
I think Maya probably stands there for about 30 seconds, just sort of chest heaving. She's still bleeding a little bit from her wrist.
Maya's having a really bad day.
Maya's no good, terrible day. So I think she sort of dusts herself off a little, pushes her hair back into her ponytail, and fetches her sword, and just sort of leaves in the opposite direction. Ag, it's your game. Unless we can't hear you. That's also possible.
You there, Ag?
We could definitely hear some background noise then. Ag, hello? Huh. Maybe he's away from keyboard for a moment. That was a good duel. I think the duel minigame may be one of my favorite.
It's definitely interesting.
Minigames.
Yeah,
how are you finding this game? It's good, I think.
Well, from the mini games that we've played so far have been interesting because there's been it's been helpful for me because it's not so much heavy on the role play because there's what's the word I'm looking for?
I think leading
prompts.
questions is a good way to put it. Yeah,
there's prompts, which helps me a lot. When we start moving on to the other ones, it might be a bit different. But
that's fair. But so far so good.
I've not screwed up too badly.
No, of course not. Ag, are you back?
I'm back. Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
It is your turn. Petros sort of bolted from a duel with Maya, having disarmed her.
Okay.
Maya's no good, terrible day.
It is. I think, having looked through, it's a little bit obvious, but I'm going to go for the Great Hunt.
I mean, valid.
And I think what we are hunting is that plesiosaurs are all well and good, but we have heard, now that we successfully got these tablets and such, the potential in this kind of very, very deep ancient area that's separated off from the rest of the normal sea, normally that we've kind of got access to. We have heard tale of a breeding ground for mosasaurs, which, if you've seen Jurassic World, is that one from the sea.
I'm googling it. Is it the?
Yes. Well, it's not really
holy shit!
What was the sorry?
It's a mosasaurus. It's a big old crocodile boy.
You ever seen Jurassic World?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a mosasaur.
Yeah. I'm gonna go hunt one.
Okay.
And what? I'm sorry, what?
A reminder that Baron Fisher can talk to them.
That's a good point.
God.
And so, let's go and see how this goes, because it may or may not go well, or who knows.
Yeah, so I don't.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
I think it's that you still play as Fisher's gang, but I think we play as the environment and stuff.
Yes, you do. That's right. Yeah, you guys get to make all the decisions about these, right?
Oh, let's give him a bad day.
Yeah, I think it has to be Fisher's no good, terrible day now, because Maya had such a bad one.
Yeah.
And Okay, well, fair enough. So, do you wanna run through the rules on this one, or shall I?
Well, there's a series of questions that's on the page that you will all get to. The other players you choosing at least 4, but no more than 6 hazards, and you may also make up their own. And you can't repurpose them more than once. And they're throwing coins, and yeah, the number of coins that the fisher has at the end determines the outcome of the hunt. So there we go.
So I'll keep track using little tokens again as well.
Sure.
I think it'd be a good thing to just label each box, one with player and one with opponent. That way,
I guess it doesn't really like. What if it's a duel though? You know.
Well, you still have the main. You still have the main player who's the one who picked the game.
Fine. Okay, fair enough. I'll do that real quick.
No, it was just a thought. It doesn't matter as long as we know which box is which.
Yeah, you know.
Besides, you're the one you can move them anyway, so.
Good point. I didn't think of that. So other players may ask questions about your quarry at any time. So just to begin with, where do you come across this? Where does the chase begin?
The chase begins. I think this is underwater. If you've played a lot of Subnautica, those kind of very deep, very dangerous kind of. I forget how it is, but you can get the like sulfur pools. And all
the Lost River.
Yeah, like it's that kind of area. I don't think that we can go in the sulfur, but there's one of those like beneath us, like, and it's just scary and horrible down there. It is the ocean is deep and ancient, and this is a very deep and ancient part of it.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, I found not the scariest part of that game.
I mean, valid. I only saw the alpha stuff from it, but I always thought that game looked creepy as hell. I think I actually own it, so I should probably get on that at some point.
It's the trenches that are the terrifying bits for me.
Ah, good to know. I'm not a good person in the dark or claustrophobic spaces, so I'm sure I'd be great.
You have a grand old time.
Yep. Do you want to start with the questions, Haggis? So we take turns picking hazards for.
Yeah. I'm just asking the questions. So you're hunting essentially a mosasaurus.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And
this is part hunt, part diplomatic mission, I guess.
How old a creature is it? This particular one. Are you hunting? A venerable old member of its species?
I think it's venerable old because if we can get them on side, it's going to help with the idea of having dinosaur cavalry, which is what Fisher is after. Really,
dinosaur cavalry? It's a bloody aircraft carrier.
What aircraft?
It's a battleship
flying off it.
Well, fine, it's a battleship, but it's.
And it's worth noting that the rookie Sargon we've got with us, the youngster, who was all full of like, yes, I'm going to prove myself, is shitting bricks. Having said this thing, just like this is a phenomenally bad idea. Like this is a terrible idea, but Fisher is pushing on with.
I don't suppose he's red scaled, is he?
He's a red.
Oh no! He could turn into. I don't.
Based on like a red snapper or something.
Oh right, no, I get you.
So yes.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I thought there's a reference to some of the red Sargon we've seen later, but yeah, no. I'll let you guys. We'll see. We'll roll and find out, I guess.
It's a Star Trek.
Yes.
Right, who wants to go first on the hazards then?
Yeah. Do you want to go first on that, Hag? What if he just looks like this fish?
I'm going to start with. I'm going to start with actually one might be a bit more in your help. You return to. You start at a site where your quarry has recently terrorized. Throw.
Okay. And it's heads and it's same as before, right?
Yeah, it's just heads or tails. Yeah.
So
I love these D2 systems.
So one is heads, two is tails. Okay.
Yep.
It's one.
So on heads, there is valuable information about your quarry's current path.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, so I think that means that you gain a coin. Oh no, it says when you gain a coin, I think.
Which was the question here?
No, it doesn't say if you gain a coin. I think that counts as gaining a coin.
It sounds like it counts as gaining a coin, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm gonna say that sounds like a coin.
Yeah, it's information which helps you in your quest.
Yeah, coins. So yeah, there's valuable information about your quarry's current path, I suppose.
Oh yeah, I think that must be a typo that it doesn't say gain a coin there. That's gone.
Yeah, I'll mention it maybe. So what do you think the camera sees there, Egg?
I think there's just a dead plesiosaur. So one of the ones that we've seen just coming out and just chomping on one of the
It's the exact one, and there's a Tide Knight corpse floating out of its mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's there's always a bigger fish thing again.
Yeah.
Like it's just in the same way that the plesiosaur just completely outmatched the Tide Knight. It itself has been completely outmatched, and it's just like but the trail of kind of destruction just leads in an obvious direction to what we're trying to get.
Okay. You catch wind of your quarry on the other side of a dangerous shipwreck. Throw. So I think it's like a large trading vessel, and it basically has a hole punched through the side of it. Approximately the size of a mosasaur. Like if you had to, with some give and take. And I think it's basically split the wreck in two, which is what makes it quite dangerous.
Oh sure.
Sorry, was that you already rolling there? So that's a heads, is it?
No, that was the last one. So this is me now rolling. So that is also a heads.
Nice. So on heads, you make it through unscathed, making good time. So I think the shipwreck does start to collapse, but it's like as you're coming out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a coin, I think, right?
Yeah, there's a coin.
Coin in the coin box. Coins for the coin god. Hag, it's your go.
A freak weather pattern is causing disturbances in the undercurrents. I was going to actually say. I was trying to think of. I've been a long time since I've been scuba diving. I'm trying to remember the terminology. Throw.
Sure.
This is a good game.
Another one.
You sure you're not just holding roll one?
Yeah.
You can So what's this? So is that good or bad?
On heads, you weather it without being thrown off course, gain a coin.
Okay.
I think it's pretty much always heads is classed as gain a coin.
I think it might change depending on the game because it was tails on the previous one.
Okay.
Yeah. It might vary, but yes.
Yeah, so I think this is that's basically what we see. The undercurrents are kind of buffeting us around. I think the red scaled rookie is almost pulled away, but Fisher is able to kind of drop back from like clasping onto the side of like a tunnel. Lets the currents take him back to be close enough to catch the rookie just in time and then catch himself, so we get that kind of like save.
Your quarry is said to roost near it's basically like a column coming out of the sea, but it's in the shape like it's 5 columns essentially that come out of the sea, and they look like fingers from above, and it's called Thor's Hand. It was originally charted by like dwarven explorers, like 2,000 years ago by this point. He basically roosts somewhere near it. Throw.
Okay, let's see what comes up.
Fucking cheating. Cheating.
It's not cheating. I'm rolling 1, 2, 2. You can see it in the chat.
Hang on. See, it does work apparently.
I think you're just unlucky.
Yeah, maybe. I think my character's just having a terrible time.
Whereas Fisher has absolutely crushed this, it would seem.
Yeah.
I mean, we could keep on going, but once you hit
I
4
think
coins,
4
it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so I think this is where this Mosasaurus roosts. And we're there, and we're just doing it, and then just the camera sees like Thor's hand. You said it was.
Yeah, I think it's called Thor's hand or Thor's fingers, maybe.
I'm like we're going through. We've decided to go through, and we do.
Maybe Thor's gauntlet. Maybe that's a bad name
Thor's...
for it.
Like Thor's hand.
Okay.
And then just the camera shifts, and there's just this one big eye, and the Mosasaurus is here, and it knows we're here, and it's just staring at us, and it's that big eye reveal that you get in films sometimes. It's just very scary. And what we've seen of Fisher so far, the camera has always kind of pitched him as being like in control. And but even here, when faced with this just enormous creature, is for the first time seen to be unsure of himself. And the creature just kind of makes a low noise as it goes in, and does not expect a response from Fisher, and holds just before it can, and stops just before it can basically swallow everyone in one bite. Kind of roll it like it's going towards them as if to swallow them all. And I think that as it's coming towards him, Fisher says something that we, the audience, don't hear, but the mosasaur, like the camera, like it gets a look of surprise in its face for as much as it can, and like instead of swallowing them all, kind of like spins past them, and turns around and like speak, and then the camera cuts away. And yeah, that's gonna be fun for 18.
Yep, that'll be fine. This is good.
Okay, cool.
Yep, good. Impacting the world. Smart characterization.
Hello?
Communal world building. Ag, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so it's... Ag, can you not hear us anymore? That seems like a no. Can you not hear us? Oh. We can hear you. I think.
Oh, that's good. You can hear me. Well, that's
Yes.
good. So it's definitely my headphones.
Yes, definitely.
Good. We'll move on to the next game.
I think I'll do a round with you, Hag. If Ag continues to have issues here, See, I do want to do the drinking game at some point, but it does require an audience.
I'm trying to think how we do a drinking game, given as you seem to hate both of us.
I don't think I hate you. I think
you haven't had a particularly fun time with us.
Yeah.
I also don't see the Trist being a game that's going to get played.
Potentially not, although it was something I was open to when the game started. I'm thinking maybe Breaking Bread. We can have that with multiple people. I can't see Fisher being here. If only because, yeah, Ag said move on to the next game. So, what if it's like the next morning and the same tavern? And Maya sort of just comes into the dining hall like at breakfast time? And Petros is already there, perhaps? Hag? Hello?
Sorry, missed down. What was Petros is already there?
Yeah, I was thinking Breaking Bread, page 22. How's that sound?
Yeah, if you're not in such a bad mood to try and run him through.
I mean, that's basically the thinking. I think she actually shows up to kind of apologize of like, hey, potentially that was the wrong way to start that. And I think Fleet's kind of a weird one because it's probably kind of neutral territory for a lot of the kind of, because it was ancestrally quite pirate heavy, I think they're a little bit less, it's a lot more neutral territory and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
So,
Sort of
yeah,
like
I think, Hmm.
well, yes, a neutral zone. You have no authority over it there.
Yeah, I think she probably could like press the authority in that there are probably treaties that basically say, yeah, okay, Tide Knights, you have a limited amount of domain over the sea and things like that. But the fleet is technically a place. So, I think what you notice about Maya is that her hair is up in kind of like a messy bun, and she's only wearing the like the shirt, the button up that she would normally wear beneath her like military jacket. And essentially she's on her day off or something. She's got a little bit of shore leave. And I think basically what you've heard is yeah, basically what you've heard is that she was looking for you for like a couple of hours this morning, and eventually she sort of finds her way to here.
Okay.
What does she notice about Petros?
What did she notice about Petros? He's already at the inn.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't have to be. I'm just thinking.
No, well, I guess she already knows. She notices him. He's already there, and he's probably with several empty mugs already in front of him.
Okay, fair enough.
Empty mugs already in front of him. He has. He's been in there a little while.
Is he deep in the cut?
A little bit.
He's somewhat deep in the cut. Yeah, so I think we sort of answered how we come to be breaking bread with each other and where.
It's because he's too drunk to care.
It's because he's too drunk to care about who he's now breaking bread with. And I think she basically sits down, almost immediately notes the kind of reek of alcohol on his breath, and calls over like like a wait staff person. Who's like an orcish person, and they just sort of bring over like a couple of platters of like meat and bread and stuff. Like is it like a charcuterie? Is that what that's called? The thing with all the meat? Charcuterie.
Sounds like a French word, and I'm not very good with French.
Okay, meat plate. I can't say it, which is not helping.
Charcuterie.
Yes. It's like lots of meat. I feel like that's just kind of what fleet food is like. So I don't know. She calls over some food regardless. Yeah, essentially we take turns either asking a question, conversing freely, or passing by commenting on the food. You may choose to leave the table at any time. The person with lowest social standing starts, which I think is actually Petros.
I mean, harsh, but fair.
I mean, true. Cut purse. Cut purse, and she runs her own ship, to an extent.
Given as he's drunk and probably in a somewhat divulgatory mood, I'm feeling gregarious. What would you like to know about me? I'd say I've never heard gregarious. I need to look that word up because it's an.
Yeah, I love all of the first few ones.
That's a nice word. Fond of company, yes. He's drunk. He's definitely gregarious.
Yeah, I feel like he's merry. And I think
he's not
Maya's
slurring his words. Put it this way.
Maya's probably ordered him like a what's it called? Is it a shandy when you have like a beer mixed with lemonade or something like that?
Yeah, that's
she's ordered him something. Yeah, she's ordered him a beer watered down, essentially. I think what she would like to know is everything he's wanted for true? I think she basically, I think the scene is she's got her cup in like both hands and she's sort of drumming her fingers on it, and she just says, I wanted to apologize, I suppose, regarding why we came to blows yesterday. In all fairness, that is a pretty significant rap sheet. Is everything I've heard about you true?
Well, I might be in the divulgatory mood. Some of it is. Some of it may ever so slightly exaggerated. I wouldn't know. These officers do love to make up their wild tales sometimes, and to explain how it is I keep managing to evade them.
Love it. Huh. I hope to find common ground with you about the Sahagwin. Do I? Is there any?
Do you get to ask another question?
What's that?
How many times do you get to ask questions?
You asked. You
No,
asked me a question.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Oh, I
The
did.
first
Good point.
question
Sorry,
was-
I'm confused.
That's
I
all right.
confused myself. What was your question?
No. So the first question is me asking you
Yeah.
a question, which
What
is a
was-
little confusing.
That's why I got confused. What were you asking me about?
I hope to find common ground with you about the Sahagwen incursion. Is there any? So essentially, she's asking whether, if stuff came to blows on Fleet itself, if, for example, a dinosaur armada happened to show up, would Petros sort of, fight with her? Is there any common ground there?
My associates and I, we care only for our own well-being and survival. Should that ever come into question from those little fishy boys, I'm sure an arrangement could be made, providing, of course, that you grant us some degree of immunity from whatever actions we may need to take.
So there is some level of common ground, I think. / there's enough that they would be able to pay for it. Oh, it's yours next, isn't it?
That's why I'm getting confused, because I'm doing all the talking.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
I'm going to continue with that, based off what his comment about, wanting some, not the immunity for whatever may happen. That's his ignominious statement. I did not pronounce that word correctly.
Ignominious.
I may not
Oh
even be
dear.
using that word correctly.
Ignominious.
That's probably it.
Probably.
No, I'm not going to go with that one. I'm going to go with the other one. I thought. I hope to convince you. I hope to convince you about gaining some degree of immunity and pardon for certain crimes if you request my help. Am I able to do that?
I think she is an honourable person, is the thing. So I reckon probably. I think at the end of the day, I don't think Tide Knights are cops.
No, but
I think she definitely views it as a more protective role. So I think in terms of protection or slapping a pair of cuffs on Petros, she'd go for the former. So yes, I think it probably takes some cajoling, but I think there is a slow nod that such a thing might be possible in should the worst come to the worst, if they could rely upon Petros's crew.
Very decent of you.
Yes,
We not see us pirates aren't all as bad as you seem to think.
And I am not a guard captain. She definitely speaks well, despite the fact that I think that's probably one of the things that sort of puts her.
In that response, he just looks up and down at the armor, well, at her attire, and shrugs.
She's just in a shirt and pants. Come on, fuck off. She's definitely still wearing a sword.
And she's probably dressed much smarter than most people on Fleet.
Oh, definitely. Well, I don't know about Fleet as a whole, but definitely at the docks and stuff.
Anyways, your question.
I'm sure in Fleet there are still like Amsterdam style people of just like free traders who make the most out of like presumably a low taxed city and things like that, you know? Hmm. I'm feeling gregarious. What would you like to know about me?
He's going to ask the question. Tell me, Knight, what exactly is it? Is your fascination with the fish lads?
They're marshalling something. Within moments of something terrible breaking the surface, not 24 hours ago, I located a Sauhagwen patrol, but they evaded me and my ship. She's sort of toying with a curl of her fringe as she speaks. So essentially, it's because she thinks they're planning something big, which they are, but you know.
Yeah.
But I don't think neither of us know that for sure anyway. Did you have anything else that you want to? Oh, is it mine next? No, it's your next. It's yours next, isn't it? Because I did. I'm feeling gregarious.
This is the confusing thing about this game.
It's a weird one, but I kind of like it because it's like with Duel where you're kind of admitting fault and stuff like that. I think it's similar. So. Equally, you can also pass by commenting on the food. Or you can just leave, which is also kind of funny.
Yes, in response to that, he sort of stabs his dagger into one of the cold cuts of meat on in front of him, and nibbles at it, and says, "It's interesting how they find such fresh meats all the way out on this flotilla."
I think she does the same. I think she probably has like a carving knife or something, you know, like a short knife.
Yeah, a dagger,
and she probably does similar. Yeah, but like not like as like a utility knife, you know. Whatever. Anyway, so I think she does much the same and is basically like in some of the higher districts, you can see small farms and ships who and pigs whose feet have never touched the land. Beggars belief, and I think that that's scene, and it's just the camera kind of pans out on them just sort of eating quietly, just chewing through a big old plate of cold cuts,
making small talk.
Basically, yeah, and I kind of like that as a concept. It's a good move to be able to comment on the food. Yeah. So, Ag has now dropped out of the Roll20 game after this well, I think. Is he okay? Ag, can you hear us? You are on mute for the record. I've just messaged him to see if he's had any more luck. Is it his turn next?
No, it's me next. But
oh, okay. So we could always do something. But let's see what's happening with Ag first, maybe.
Yeah, I'm looking for another game to take.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Can you hear that?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
I can, but only because I'm now recording through my phone and not through my laptop. There's some kind of issue with the Bluetooth connecting to my headset. But okay, this will do now. I don't think the quality on my voice is going to be quite as good. But
you're a bit quieter, but I can knock your volume up on Discord.
Yeah. Sorry about this, everyone. I do not know what's happening there.
Well, there's a reason why I have Bluetooth headphones that I plug in.
Yeah, I might need to get a separate set of headphones. I've been trying to avoid having a separate set for like wandering around listening to stuff and connecting in, but I think I might.
I mean, valid. Is there anything you can do to get like a dongle for them or something? Be able to plug them in?
I could. I did have one of those, but it got completely destroyed during a random event.
Oh. Damn those random
it should-
encounters.
It was particularly random. I didn't even know it until way afterwards. Cool. So where are we at? Is it my game or?
It's Heg's game, actually. Maya essentially went to a tavern and found Petros, and they had quite an amicable conversation.
Oh, that's very.
Ate some cold cuts. It was good. So yeah, Heg, what game were you thinking?
I'm still thinking.
Well, when in doubt, go for a tryst. No.
No.
Um,
No, I don't quite think they're at that stage yet.
Potentially not. That's a good question. There's a lot of these that are really good.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at sharing a pint because the mechanics seem really interesting.
I was looking at that as well. And the only person he could probably share a pint with now would be Baron Fisher.
I think it is interesting if Fisher and Petros are sharing a pint while he's also talking to Maya about the viability of selling him out.
I have no issue with he's no particular issues with Fisher. The question is, would Fisher come up onto the fleet?
Yes, I think we have established. Oh, okay, fair enough.
Well, no, I think it's possible that he could.
But would he?
It's possible that but would he, considering that he's being quite successful at the moment? I think there are ways to do this. I think, you know what I would really like? A neutral pub that's also a boat.
I was literally thinking a boat just as you were saying that.
Boat pub.
Yeah. So it's like there's a boat pub that pirates frequent, and sometimes Sahagwin do as well, because we've established in PATHCO that there are no all these races are evil, so we're doing away with the beast races concept.
Yeah,
so
that's a real shitty concept.
Yeah, it's because it's really bad for reasons that I hope I don't have to explain. Now, it's... But I think there's definitely going to be trade between pirates and Sahagwin. So there's definitely, like, an ocean pub that this could be happening in. Like, maybe Fisher has gone there to meet up with a different Sahagwin contact, and like, that squad is kind of, like, there. And I think this is a very big boat. Like, thinking, like, one of those old school, like, paddle steamer type things, that size.
I mean, I don't see why it literally can't be a paddle steamer. I'm just saying.
Sure, let's have a paddle steamer. I mean, it's out on the ocean, so it's going
to be... say, a paddle steamer out on the ocean does not sound like a recipe for a good time.
Is it bad? Civil War ships used to have paddle engines, didn't they?
Well, you can have a paddle steamer and sails. It's also magic exists in this world.
I was thinking paddle steamers. I think are usually riverboats.
Yeah, they usually are. But I think we're definitely in neutral waters. But it's that size of boat, whether or not it literally has paddles on it or not. Or maybe it's an original, like, who knows? But anyway, a pub boat of some kind of that size. So yeah, I'm down.
Right, let's have a pint with the fish lads.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been calling them fish lads for the entire time as well, so there's that.
Yeah. But I think this makes sense when Petros would approach them. I think it has to be Petros approaching them.
What about something like this, which is kind of neat?
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of like how grandiose the sort of paddly bits are in the middle.
Yeah, that's nice.
I'm trying to think how I can't drag that onto my stream because I'm not actually I'm showing Chrome, not the screen.
Oh, hang on. Let me. Does this? Nope. I hit paste and it just created another token. Oh well. I tried.
Okay. So it's going to be myself and Ag at the Sea Pub.
Boat pub. Does it have a name, or is it just like the Sea Pub, or even like a central location, or do you just sail out and find it?
I think you just sail out and find it. I think it's like This is very secret, hush, hush kind of business. I think you have to know a person to know how to get
It's
to this
called.
place because it moves around.
It's called the Sink Easy.
Dear.
It's called what? Sorry.
The Sink
The
Easy.
Sink Easy.
The Sink Easy. Yeah, sure, cool.
Yeah, I tried to drag it in and that balked out, so I'm not doing that.
You're back. Although, I think Jack's gonna have to roll for you, isn't he, Ag?
No, Ag can roll. Oh, Ag,
I can
you're
roll.
not in the Roll20 chat for some reason.
Oh
You're not
yeah,
in
no, I had to restart my. So restarted my laptop and it didn't work. So I'm going to get it. So go over the rules while I'm.
So,
I
rules.
think this is probably going to be the last game, probably.
I mean, it's
This
5
seems
to
like
5
a solid
to 10.
choice for the last game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Petros and Baron Fisher are at the Sink Easy. Decide with your partner how you came to be sharing drinks and what you will be drinking. Well, I think. Go on.
Hang on.
Now, I was thinking that Baron Fisher might be there celebrating his successes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what Sahagwin drink, mind, but
I think there is a specific Sahagwin booze that works on their physiologies, and and it's like because you can get that fermented fish Swedish.
Oh god, yeah.
Sostromen. Oh god, no! You're not
Yes,
drinking
yeah.
Sostromen alcohol, are you?
I think it's basically some kind of Sostromen alcohol thing. Yeah, for sure. Like that's what this is, and it smells really bad. So I think we have a private booth because not because we're big or important, just because this stuff reeks and like you don't want anyone else around it. So I'm thinking Petros is has clearly sought us out, and like that's how that's going.
Rolling Constitution saves.
Oh,
You're supposed to do that when you drink anyway, I think. This basically is what sharing a pint is about anyway.
So, okay, Petros is going to wander up with 2 bottles, one of rum and one of whatever the hell this ungodly concoction is, and some glasses.
I think it's called Devilfish.
Devilfish.
Devilfish is a
Devilfish
really
brew.
good name.
Yes. Okay.
So he's no one. So what have I? So what do you notice about each other?
So I think I say what you notice about me. I think that's what that.
Yes.
So I think what you notice about Baron Fisher is that, or about this group, is that Baron Fisher seems actually quite relaxed, and the rest of the group seem to be surprised that the Baron is relaxed. Like all the tension in the world has just fallen out of him. Like you've not met him before to see the comparison, but you can kind of pick up. Petros, I think, is a good enough reader of people to live the lifestyle that he does, that he's picked up that everyone is a little bit surprised by how chill Fisher is at the moment.
Sorry, I don't know if you can hear that. There's some kids playing on a bouncy castle outside.
Nope.
Okay,
Cannot hear
That's
it at all.
crazy. So what do you notice about Petros? Well, you notice that he looks slightly pale for an elf. And he looks like he is doing his level best to breathe through his mouth. And there may even be a clothes peg knocking somewhere within easy reach of his hands.
Yeah. You, serving boy. We did not order any further drinks, but no, that's how can I don't like this. And you.
Why did his voice change midway through the dialogue?
Yes, that's.
It's fine.
But we will take them off your hands.
Very droll, my good friend. Very, very droll. Yes, I shall remember that one next time. No, I wish to join you in your celebrations. I see you gentlemen appear to be Well, 7 sheets to the wind almost.
In
And
which
I
case,
was.
everyone just starts looking. Everyone looks at you and starts folding their arms, including one of the people in this group who is a mutant and has 4 arms, so it's 2 sets on top of one another. Maybe we are. What's it to you, land dweller?
I wish to merely as a fellow navigator of these wild oceans to join in with some hearty sailors such as yourselves, or not, maybe not so much sailors, but join in with some fellow boys and just drink and ease our troubles, whatever they may be, or celebrate our successes. And he plonks the bottles down.
Slightly narrowed up. And at which point, there's 2 there, right? So I think it's time for a. I think.
Well, there's
like, obviously they're suspicious of this, and says, "Well, bottoms up," and like, you first, and like, yeah, I think we're both drinking at this point, so yeah, I think that's call for a pint. I think that's the action I'm doing here.
Yeah, I think so.
Each player begins with 2 coins, so we both have 2 coins to begin with.
We're on 3 coins, aren't we?
Each player begins with 2 coins, converts 3. Sorry, you gain a coin.
So-
do I have 3? Do you have 2?
At any point, someone may call for a pint. When this happens, you gain a coin.
Okay, so I don't have control of the coins either, so.
No.
Right, sorry. Do you want me to... Hang on. There we are. So... How's that?
Okay, so, yeah, so...
So I'm on the left.
So I think we're... So how do you respond to drinking this frankly horrible brew?
Well, bottoms up, my good friend. And he takes a...
Fisher chugs it, for sure.
He puts it down. It's definitely an acquired taste, my lads.
Okay.
So, now that we're friends, as you can see, I mean no ill will, what are you celebrating? Surely, celebration shared can ease any woes?
Yes, so... I think I have to flip my coins at this point, right? I flip 3 coins.
So
If
it's...
2 of them are tails, I let it slip. If
Yeah.
I don't, I'm tight-lipped.
So I
I think
basically
so.
roll 3d2s.
Yep. That's 2 tails.
So that's 2 tails. So I let something slip because of drinking a lot. Okay. Let's just say. We're drinking to the success of a great hunt, Len. And to the opening of a dialogue between races. And he looks you in the eyes, so it's almost like he's talking about what's happening here. He's not talking about that, though. I don't think you'd be able to put together exactly what's going on, but, that kind of thing.
A hunt? Oh, I took the moment I laid eyes on you fine gentlemen, I knew there are some striking those are some striking warriors, not fearful of anything that lurks beneath these dark waters.
Indeed. But what of you? Such a fine and friendly gentleman. Shouldn't you be with a crew of your own? It's dangerous out here. Loners.
My crew are about somewhere, no doubt, drowning whatever joys or sorrows each one may have. They're a morose bunch. They didn't seem as cheerful as you fine fellows.
No, I felt that. Yeah, perhaps. They could be anywhere, perhaps with the Tide Knights. Who knows? And I think he's alluding to thinking you're somehow in league with the Tide Knights, which you sort of are because you're hearing a tip from them. So I don't know if that's a roll or not, or
I guessed it'd be a roll for a bluff, so I'll take the bluff for it. One head, one tails.
Okay, that's not. So you're able to keep it together.
Tide Knights, I may have encountered them in passing. They don't like my kind that much, you see. We're a bit too mischievous for their likings.
Oh, pirate tide.
Well, I dabble here and there.
What ship do you sail?
Pardon?
What ship do you sail?
Oh, we are aboard. No ship in particular. It's a minor sloop. We tend to trade it in every once in a while. I forget what the latest name we take. The latest name is.
That's probably a roll, right?
Well, I genuinely don't know. I'm making it up.
Oh, okay, I think that's a roll for whether or not you can keep that vague or not.
Okay. Well, I'm being vague because I haven't got a name to hand, but I'll do it again. I'll roll again if you like.
Well, Hegus is being vague. That doesn't necessarily mean that Petros is being vague. You know
Petros probably knows which boat he's on.
Yeah.
Still okay, it seems.
Hmm.
But enough of my boat. Another drink, good sir. Another drink.
Oh, is that you calling for a pint?
Yep.
So, whoopsie daisy, there you are. I'm playing the unnamed voiceless bartender.
Okay. And I think I'm going to switch away. I'm going to switch to the young rookie, who I think has probably not met many humans before. And I'm gonna switch to them. And he's fidgeting and looking kind of. So are there many pirates around here, mister? Are there many? Do you go and fight the Tide Knights? Oh, they're no match for us, but it is I'm sure they cannot stand up. We saw this one. She was seemed like some kind of trainee. It seems that it was maybe was very slow. maybe it was maybe it was take your daughter to work day. Tide Knights.
Sorry, I was just reading Jack's. Tide Knight, you've encountered one. I haven't. I have two. They are a slippery bunch. He managed to nick. He sort of points to his ribs. He hit me hard, but she was no match. Where did you encounter this Tide Knight?
I'm gonna roll for that. I think.
Roll for an
I can
inebriation.
keep that together. Yeah. Out in the sea, it was. Oh, it's just gonna straight. It's gonna, it was in the straits near here. Like it just made something. Like in the shallows near the near Lions Reef.
Lion's Reef? What's out there? That's an interesting place to encounter a Tide Knight, surely.
He said Lions Reef. So
Liar's Reef.
There is no Lions Reef. Yeah, there is no Lions Reef. It's basically saying fuck off. And he looks around like, see, I didn't say the information. And I think
You are.
Fisher kind of leans in. Sorry, go on.
You are very cunning, sir. Very cunning.
Yes. I think Fisher kind of leans forward and says, "This is all very impressive that you can hold drink from us. But tell us, good sir," and he just completely locks eyes with you. What is it that you really want? We can't talk business.
I must admit I have not been fully truthful with you. I have issues with the Tide Knights myself. They, I understand, are not too fond of you fine lads, and I was hoping to have hoping to discuss with you to seek some kind of arrangement and maybe get them off all of our backs.
Oh. You come here on behalf of Pirate Alliance?
I come here on behalf of myself and my crew. The pirates themselves, they are but a squabbling lot. We don't see eye to eye for the most part, but myself and my crew, I'm sure we could maybe gain one or two friends. I'm sure they owe us favors here and there. Maybe.
Oh, you wish. Sorry, what?
He sort of just trails off with his after maybe.
You and your crew wish to become agents of Sahagwin? You wish to become agents of Baron Fisher on land? Oh. Interesting. Interesting. I think I'm going to roll here because I think something sensitive is potentially coming up. So I think he's going to let something slip.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
I think he's going to let something slip here slightly. He's indicating that Petros and his crew might want to become agents of the Sahagwin. We perhaps have contact of our own is looking new hires. We can subcontract to Petros of No Fixed Ship, perhaps. Yes. We can talk business. I did roll the fail, so I have to lead into it. And I think, what do you know of Empire of Fangs? And I think we can then cut the camera at this point. Is that good for you?
Yeah, I think that's a fair enough place to call it.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. I think we can always come back to this.
Petros is maybe involved with these guys, sort of. That's kind of interesting and fun.
Petros is cunning, sly, charming, sly, and mercurial. He is incredibly self-serving.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I like to think I've played him how he should be.
Stargrid agent. Yeah. And is possibly acting as a Stargrid agent in some cases to fight against the Tide Knights. That's interesting and fun. Hey, maybe this wasn't that long ago. Maybe this is... Oh, maybe that's me a little
This was 15 minutes before A-Team.
Now you have to fight alongside Petros.
Now you got because now we know where Petros has disappeared off to at the end of that last campaign.
Oh, is that what's happened?
Maybe.
I don't mind that being canon if that is what happened to Petros. He's now a Sahagwin agent.
A lot of Petros' story is mostly untold at the end of the day. He disappeared at the end of that campaign, and we never found him again. But this is a good thing for me to figure out where the heck he went. You know, I haven't decided yet presently whether he's going to double cross or triple cross or whichever way around it is.
Yeah. I quite like the speed on the thing. So yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah, good game.
Yeah, it was interesting and fun. And I think
I enjoy these Firebrand style games. So yeah,
it was definitely I got into it much more than I thought I might do, because I always struggle with roleplay heavy games. So.
Yeah, I think the prompts really help.
I was going to call it a roleplay heavy exercise, and it's not an exercise.
That's an interesting way to put it. I think that was a really good little Road to World Tour style thing, and maybe we'll come back to this, maybe we won't. But yeah.
He says, not wanting to fight some of the things that are on the table.
Yes, fuck you for putting dinosaurs in my Pathfinder game. No.
I've just realised that if we do fight one, it's going to be sticking with this goddamn tank in the thing.
Yep.
Anyway,
Play to find out what happens.
Anyway, that was fun. Yeah, it was good. Apologies for the technical issues, but it is what it is, unfortunately.
I think you picked a good time to have technical issues. It meant that we didn't have a 3-person scene at any point, but, it happens. Right.
We had a 3-person scene, we just had a 3-character scene. Yeah, because everyone was...
Oh, good point, yes. The hunt, of course. Well, there you go, then. Right, well, good James, everyone. I'm not sure when the next sort of A-Team thing will be, but maybe we'll keep up with the Road to
Yes,
World
one
Tour
has
stuff. Maybe
exams
do
and
some more
things
of maybe do some more of the quiet. Yeah, that could be quite fun.
Yeah. I'll be
I think
interested
3
in
is probably
coming in on
too
that.
few for that. So yeah, that could be good. But for now,
Right.
good James, everyone. Thanks for playing. Thanks for sort of lurking in the chat, Hellhounds. Hope that wasn't that was fun.
Oh, we should have called the drink boat the rubber duck.
Oh,
That's a missed opportunity.
retcon,
How is
retcon.
that? I think I prefer the Sink Easy, but okay.
Well, I think it's the Sink Easy. I think
Hmm.
the camera pans on one of the lifeboats and the lifeboat on the Sink Easy rubber duck.
Okay.
I think that's the concession we can make.
All right then.
All
Right.
right.
Well, good game, everyone. Hope you all have a nice evening, and I'm gonna skedaddle at that point. But let's say bye stream first.
Bye stream
Bye-bye.
Bye
first.
stream. Goodbye. Bye stream first.
Oh yeah, I need to
Right.
actually kill the stream, don't I?